Hey, what's up, everyone? Happy Valentine's Day. I wanted to make an informal video about my dating experience here in Medellín in Colombia and just a little bit of my history and what I've experienced. So I came here in 2017 and like a lot of people, when I got here, I was excited to be in Colombia. I loved the vibe here. I did a lot of dating. This is back when, Tinder and Bumble and all these sites were still safe to be on. And I met a lot of people. I met a lot of people, through dating sites. And I met people out in public and just meeting people around or, going to stores, being around and just talking to people. And, I didn't really have a good level of Spanish, so I had a certain limitations as far as my dating was concerned. But I met a lot of people, and I think not even like not being able to speak Spanish is still not an excuse to be dating somewhere else, because there's a lot of people who don't they actually speak English. You meet a lot of people who speak English, and one of the first girlfriends I had, she was actually she was a teacher, and she like broke down all the conjugations for me. And I had this studio bedroom, a studio apartment, and she put these big like cards, like, because she's a teacher, and she had like all of the words, all the different words and all the breakdowns, and like broke it down for me. I posted them like all over my walls. I have a picture somewhere. And that was like, that helped me learn Spanish. So I think your Spanish level definitely helps you date. Like, if you can actually speak fluent Spanish, that's going to help you a lot. But if you don't have a good Spanish, I mean, dating is a great way to learn it, to be honest with you. Like, you want like good lessons, meet a nice girl who's like patient with you, who's like willing to teach you things. And so that actually like really upped my Spanish game by my dating. And so I met a lot of people, like I said, online. I had my first, girlfriends in Colombia. I think I met someone who was on Facebook. They just like friended me, and then we started talking. And then that was like my first, relationship. We dated for, I think, around 9 months or something like that. She was a super nice girl, Paisa. And she had a car. She lived in Envigado, and we went and did things together. I met her family, went to her family's finca. It was still like challenging, with dating because my level of Spanish, but between her English and my Spanish, we got along pretty well, and we explained stuff, and we had some nice times. We had a little bit of differences. I remember we went to Jardín one time, and she had like this expectation that I was going to set up all this stuff, and so there are some like cultural differences, I think, that you get dating in Colombia. One thing is, I think you have to be very clear about, like the timing and stuff like that, and you have to be clear about what your expectations are with people. And a lot of times when I'm setting up dates here, especially now that I've had some time, I try to make it convenient. Or if I'm meeting someone new, I'll make the date in between, where we're meeting. And and I like to be very clear about like when I'm leaving, when I'm going to get there. That way, a lot of people I've heard, like, they get very frustrated, like, oh, I went to meet on a date and she was like an hour late. I'm like, well, you can avoid that a little bit by having really good communication on your part. So if you say like, look, we're meeting at this time, and then I'm leaving, and then she lets you know when she's leaving, and you can kind of work it out so you don't end up waiting. You can also, what you can do is make the dates, convenient for you as well, and I make them close to where I live. And I have people, a lot of times, if it works, like, come to my neighborhood, and and then I say, hey, let me know when you're like 10, 15 minutes away. I'm all ready to go. And then I just go out, and then that avoids this whole like time and change thing. And the other thing I've noticed is the cultural differences. In Colombia, at least, I think in Latin culture, a lot people are less direct. So, I think you have to kind of meet in the middle. Like, you can't, if as Americans we say like we like exactly what we say, we do what we say, we kind of like are very strict in that sense, and that's fine. I don't think any culture is right or wrong for the way they do it. It's just a little bit different. So you just have to be like used to it a little bit, and maybe not be so direct as you have your dating experiences in Medellin or in Colombia. Like, just to be a little more chill, be a little more relaxed. And I wouldn't make a whole bunch of like rules or boundaries like over texting and stuff like that. I would just explain things like calmly and patiently. And if you have different cultural expectations, then just let them happen over time. But I wouldn't get frustrated like on the first date. Oh, she showed up late, she did this, and then just cut it. Because sometimes you have to kind of meet in the middle. You have to like see how things see how things work between the two different, people. And, I think also once you learn the language well, you learn different things, like what stuff actually means. Like if someone says like, we're going to meet up, and they say like, vamos mirando, that means like, we're probably not going to meet up. Like, it's not like super solid, the plan. And so you kind of have to learn like the language as well. And when someone says certain things, you might think, okay, we're solid. But actually, if you know Spanish well, you're like, okay, we're like talking about maybe having a plan, but we're not super solid yet. So you have to like gauge that. You have to gauge those types of things and then plan accordingly. But a lot of things can be misinterpretations for the language and for the culture. And I would just say have a lot of patience with it. Don't count it off like just one, right off the bat. And one thing that surprised me is that the people here are very open, like especially dating, and the dating women here, they're very open. Like I felt very comfortable dating here, especially meeting people socially. And I think you can talk a little more openly, and you can be a little more free the way you talk. I mean, I think, when I meet people here, you can say things. I think in the United States, people will be kind of like creeped out by it, but I don't think it's creepy. Like, it's like when you're starting to get to know someone, like, you kind of finding out what they do, and what area they live in. Here it's like people take it less seriously. Like if you're in the United States and you start meeting someone and you're just getting to know them right away, like the first time, and you start asking like, hey, what area do you live in, or what, something like this, they might be like, what do you want to know where I live? They're so like boundaries up. Here it's more relaxed. So you can be like, hey, which part of Medellín do you live in? And like, and people are like really open. Like people have told me, I work here, I do this, I do that. I'm like, okay. They just give me a lot of information. That's fine. But that's something that surprised me. One thing that I messed up, I would say, is that I had some opportunities with good people, and because of the space that I was in, I wasn't able to follow through with it. I think a lot of people, and if anyone says like you don't like the people in a certain area, or if you're not having good luck dating or something like that, I'm like, if you don't like the type of person that's in the area that you live in, like move somewhere else. Like if you're not liking it, just go. Because if I didn't like a certain type of or culture of people, I would just do something different. Because for me to live somewhere, there's different variables like the climate, how is the ambience, what's the cost of living. The dating is something that's important for me in a place that I live. I want to live in a place where the people who live there are attractive to me. So I'm attracted to Latinas and Colombians, so it works for me. And I've learned to adapt and have different ways of living here and dealing with it. So it's like, and actually really enjoy dating the people here. I think it's a very high quality of people, of women specifically. A lot of people say there's not a lot of, good women in Colombia. I just don't think that's true. People say it's very transactional. I think to an extent, most relationships are transactional, like you give and you take. So that's what kind of relationships are, not kind of, that's what it is. And then you can think about it in different ways, but at the end of the day, it's a give and take, right? And so I would just say, like, I think what most guys and what people get wrong, they're still using Tinder. They're, looking for people in the wrong places. If you have certain standards, you have to look for people with those standards, So I like educated women. I like creative people. So I like to go to cultural things, like, like a jazz concert, or the book. They have a book festival. It's like lots of intellectual people, smart people. It's a good place to meet people. There's lots of cultural events and cultural places that you can go in Medellín and meet people. And so there's no excuse not to meet people who are in the category of things that you like. I think that's, if you're not doing that, that's on you. Like a lot of people, like they don't really try hard. They're not really upping their game, how they approach, dating, or approach, improving their lives. If you're happy and you have good standards, then you can meet people around the world that have that similar perspective. I think that's what a lot of men were getting wrong. They're coming here and they're expecting to have like this princess right away, and like that's just not how it is. And you're not going to meet someone, I don't know, these guys, they meet people from like these lower class neighborhoods, and they have, they're not cultured, and they're like expecting them to be like these very, like upstanding citizens. And I'm like, dude, you're dating a woman from the ghetto. Like, what do you expect is going to happen? Like, she's going to kind of like use you for money a little bit. Like that would happen in New York or anywhere else. Like, I don't understand why people think Medellín is going to be different. They're going to date people from different like levels of neighborhoods or areas, and they're going to be treated differently. That doesn't exist in anywhere. So I think if you're an educated person and you want someone who has, I don't know, whatever's important to you, intellect, wealth, creative people, whatever your likes are, sporty people. So I think you have to find people and, and find your likes and move towards that. What actually works, I think what really works is learning Spanish really well. You have to learn Spanish well. Like, you have to learn the nuances of Spanish and how to flirt in Spanish and how to, be cool in Spanish, be laid back, not be too much pressure. It's important. There's like nuances to that. That takes time. The best way to do it is just by dating, really, to keep on doing it. And I think to, up your own game. Like, if you're having issues in life right now, I've gone through changes, and it's like I wasn't making enough money. I had different things that were more, not that you have to make a lot of money, but they're just internal things that I want. And so I put my work in, being like, okay, I want to up my career. I want to work on my physical body. I think being fit is probably one of the top things. My hairline is going thin, so I'm gonna probably do something about that soon. There's certain appearance things that people can say like, oh, that doesn't matter, just be who you are. But that's not really how dating works. You have to present yourself well. If you want to get someone who looks really well, you have to be someone who looks really well. If you want to get someone who's educated, I would imagine you have to be decently educated. You're not going to fool a person who's a super educated woman and just, it happens, right? But I just think you have to be what you want to attract. And so, those are some of my, starting comments of just about dating. Like I said, my experiences have been really well. My dating life is amazing. You can go out and meet people in nice places, go hiking, if you're out with your friends at the mall, whatever you're going to do, you meet people out enjoying yourself, and just be open. I say you need to be open and take chances. So things are not just going to come to you and fall into your lap. And so if you want things, you have to put yourself in a position where you're ready for it, and you have to make attempts. You have to make approaches. You have to get rejected. You have to have failure. And just go through the process, and then not take it personally, and just go through the process and say, okay, I'm going to make some changes to myself. I'm going to make some changes to my approach. I'm going to make some changes to, the things that I do, the places I go, to my physical fitness, and, keep on dating and keep on learning. Because I think if you really want high quality people, you have to, like I said, be a quality person. And so that's one of the things that I would really say is just, enjoy yourself, enjoy the abundance, because it's good to have options, and it's good to have, if you're choosing anything, you want to say like, look, I want to try different things, see what I like, and not be set on one idea, right? So I think those things are important. And I think be social, go places, say hi to people, talk to people that you wouldn't normally talk to. If you go to a bar, talk to the bartender. If you go into the hiking, talk to the people going up and down, smile, be friendly, talk to people at the gym, talk to the trainers, talk to the people who know other people, go on hikes with them, and just meet people in general. And that's going to open up your social circle. So I think putting yourself in a good social circle is also very important. With dating, obviously, is one of the most important things. I've had amazing experience here, and just in general. I've dated many different people. I've had probably 3 to 4 long-term relationships in the 8 years I've been here. That have been, between 7 to 10 months to 11 months. And I've been really focusing on, building different businesses and working on myself. And, I think now I'm probably, ready for a more long-term relationship. And I think you have to be very stable and be ready for that. So those are some of my suggestions. I wanted to be just transparent, a little bit vulnerable. That's what my videos have been. It's nothing specific, but I just wanted to go over some topics that I had lined out. See what you think. How has your experience been dating? I think like I said, there's a lot of good people to date here. So if you're not getting into good people, not having good experiences, I would change it up. Like look at what you're doing, not the culture or the country or this as a problem. I would actually say like, what am I doing wrong? What can I improve? What can I learn? So that's my experience right now. You can follow me, LaFond Social on Instagram. We're going to be doing some events. We're going to be some social stuff where you can actually meet people, which is going to be good. That'll be coming up in the next couple of months. You can follow my personal Instagram, Rob LaFond. Keep on subscribing to the channel, LaFond Social, LaFond Social TV. I'll be changing that just to LaFond Social soon. And keep on subscribing, liking the videos, comments. Like, what's your experiences? Have you had good experiences dating in Colombia? I hope everyone has a wonderful Valentine's Day. Enjoy your time and wherever you are in the world, and keep on following, and let's keep on building this community, this social group, and expanding and learning from each other. So I appreciate you all. Have a good day, and I'll talk to you soon. Ciao.